YouTube or something going on. And there have been people on the right who have been banned. They still very much exist, for sure. Alex Jones is doing his thing. But if you willfully want to remove yourself from the public conversation, go ahead and do it. There you go.
I almost did that last year, actually. I went through this little thing. Because of all the censorship, it was like, well, screw this, I'm out of here. And I decided to stick with it and just be more loud and more obnoxious and sort of wait for them to just kick me out. But I think the thing is, these people are running from hearing another viewpoint. You have one side of the aisle that's like, I'm going to stay here and be loud and say what I want to say, shooting for truth, fighting for freedom. But then you have other people that don't want to hear it, and that's why they're leaving. You know, they're sort of afraid that it's under the guise of hate and intolerance, and they don't want to hear it. And then there's also this $8 per month inconvenience.
But it's an option.
That's the final nail in the coffin.
So
$8.
Would you rather a company be dependent on the whims of multinational corporations complying with the ESG score, or would you rather a company be independently funded and not need to, of course, bend over to, of course, the globalists and the internationalists and the corporations? To me,
Right.
$8 a month, I'll gladly pay for it if Elon Musk keeps his promise to protect free speech and allow people to have their political voices disseminated without any destruction of those voices, without any kind of censorship. So I'm gladly willing to pay
They already
$8
have
for it.
Twitter Blue for like $4 a month,
Yeah.
and that's basically just gives you what
It allows you to upload. It allows you to upload
right?
videos that
Yeah.
are a lot longer, and it gives you some analytics and
Yeah,
some data.
and that's
I believe.
$4 a month. So.
Sarah Bareilles says, "Welp, it's been fun. I'm out. See you on other platforms, peeps. Sorry, this one's just not for me." George Alexopoulos said, "Who are you?"
That's hilarious.
Hey, look, she's got 2.8 million followers. But,
I have no idea who she is. I never
I'm not gonna write you a love song.
There we go.
Exactly. Yeah, that's great harmony.
That
Everyone's
was perfect.
super excited.
I still have no idea and no clue. But what's happening here? I'll bet your bottom dollar right now that all these corporate media companies are reaching out to all these celebrities and saying, "Hey, are you hearing Mick Foley might quit? Are you going to be brave and quit too? Can we sign up your name too to this article? Hey, can you stand up against this bigotry and this hatred? Are you going to do the right thing and say you're going to get off Twitter once the hatred comes back?" And they're of course calling all these celebrities and trying to bait them into pushing this larger attack against Twitter, and that's exactly what's happening.
I want to tell you who Sarah Bareilles is. She is a Twitter user with 2.8 million followers who can barely muster a couple dozen retweets or likes on any of her content. I mean, all of her tweets, no engagement. So see, this is the opportunity for a lot of these has-beens. They have a lot of followers because they gain a lot of followers for doing something, but now they're not relevant anymore. How do you make yourself relevant? Stand up defiantly and say, "I have almost 3 million followers and I'm leaving." Well, nobody. Look. This is my point though. See how she gets like no retweets anywhere?
31, wow.
31, 30, 19. But hold on, when she says, "I'm leaving," 6,000. With 40,000 replies, 75,000 likes. It's just PR. That's all it is. It's a PR.
Yeah, but most of those.
But hold on. The bigger question is how many of those followers are real? She's not getting any engagement. Did she buy any followers? Is there an artificial boost to this?
No. What happens is someone like Sarah Bareilles, she has that big song, "I'm Not Gonna Write You a Love Song" or whatever. She has other songs I'm sure people listen. She probably gets a ton of traffic on Spotify. But that song was really big. When that comes out, she's in the press everywhere. Tons of people then follow her, but for no reason. No one's following her to listen to her opine on her politics. So when it comes to actual engagement, they don't engage. For people like us, people follow us and we follow others for the conversation, not her. So she can't get any engagement. Ton of followers, it's useless for her. So what does she do? Now is a chance to get in the news. What happens? She's in the story. She's in Deadline. Congratulations, you made the press.
This is
A platform that you had no engagement on, that no one cared to listen to you, and you could use that to boost your status.
It's the same thing with, I saw another article and it had a list of like celebrities on that level where it was like, oh, I know them from that one thing. Like Alex Winter from Bill and Ted was leaving and he's in the list now. So it's like everybody got the memo and everybody made their statement and they're like, I can't do it, I'm out. And so then now you're seeing Alex Winter, oh yeah, that guy. Sarah Bareilles. Who's that? Oh yeah, that song. Yeah. I should check that song out.
Tony Braxton. She tweeted, I'm shocked and appalled at some of the free speech I've seen on this platform since its acquisition. Hate speech under the veil of free speech is unacceptable. Therefore, I am choosing to stay off Twitter as it is no longer a safe space for myself, my sons, and other POC. Heavens! Please, Tony, keep your children indoors at all times. Heaven forbid they go outside and hear a naughty word from a random person walking down the street.
You know, the first response here is hilarious by Ron Coleman right there.
You will be sorely missed.
The gif of people laughing in their face.
Do you know how much terrible stuff is on Twitter that apparently they were never ever really worried about prior to Elon?
Oh, right.
Thank you.
There's porn.
Like,
There's hardcore porn on Twitter right now, and you're like, well, now it's not a safe space.
Right.
There's radical jihadism. There's people getting their heads chopped off. There's crime. There's like goresome, brutal videos all on the platform. There's no problem. There's no problems with that.
Yeah.
But
This
is too much.
We got to write down the Lukeisms.
I'm gonna create my own language here. But anyway, like, you go on there. Keep going. You go on there, and then this is the issue. People just, and it hasn't even really started yet. We're not seeing a big change to the platform
Nothing
yet.
happened.
Yeah, nothing happened, and these people are freaking out that they're leaving. Okay.
This is why, Elon is going to learn the hard way. That he mentioned this a while back, that he hopes to create a balance. It's not about making any one side happy. It's about making everybody, compromise. He doesn't get it. We are the compromise. We are the ones who are outright saying these people advocate for violence. They are psychotic. They dox people. And we are willing to say, okay, fine. Let them have their awful opinions and do their thing. We'll mind our own business. They say no. Either ban them or we walk. That's what Will Wheaton did. He said, if you don't ban Alex Jones, I'll quit. And then they didn't, then he quit, but then they eventually banned him anyway. Elon, there is no compromise with these obstinate psychopaths. Acting like all of a sudden now the platform is dangerous for her sons. She has no problem with, like, the murder videos that are on Twitter. There's war footage of people being blown up. I have seen videos of people writhing on the ground with blood spraying out of their body on this platform. I have seen videos of jets dropping bombs. I have seen videos of white phosphorus. And she's all of it. It's fake. Good luck, Elon, man.
Can we talk about this
don't say
tweet
we didn't
real
warn
quick?
you.
I'm reading it, and I'm thinking, is Tony Braxton really sitting around reading other people's tweets at home, and what is in her news feed that is making all this hate speech up? Because we all sort of see what we are given to see based on our own activity.
I'm imagining.
I'm
imagining her son comes in. It's like a month ago. Mom. Yeah, what is it? I just watched a video of a radical jihadist behead somebody. Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah.
Then he comes in a week later. He's like, Mom, I'm watching two adults engage in, yeah, whatever. That's nice. Then she's sitting there reading the news. It's like Elon Musk buys Twitter. No. This is not safe for my sons. Yes. It's all of them.
Yeah.
Sarah Bareilles doesn't care about this stuff. They're just,
Right.
At some point, Elon, you got to recognize.
This is
Tell them
Ops.
to go away.
Xeno
Go away.
more
Get out of
greetings
here.
in your area.
If I go
Stay
outside
frosty.
right now, if I go downtown to like any big city, you're gonna see some of the craziest stuff. People are gonna be holding up pictures of dead babies. They're gonna be holding up pictures of all sorts of nonsense. They're gonna be screaming all sorts of nonsense. There's people who walk around naked at Pride events. There are performers in Times Square who get really close to being naked. You go to Hollywood, you might see some nudity all over the place. You're definitely going to see violence. Hey, if you literally go to New York City, you might get pushed onto the tracks. Better keep your kids indoors. Lock the room, don't let them out. Because if that's the reality, you're scared of some mean words that haven't even appeared on the platform yet, well, okay then. Then you shouldn't be going outside at all. Don't make me have to pay for your fear.
Nobody in their right mind should be letting their kids on Twitter.
Oh, no, don't let your kids on Twitter. Just don't give your, take away
Right,
their
step
cell
one.
phones.
Don't let
Yeah.
your kid on Twitter.
It's the fray. It is the fray. It is culture war battle zone.
I mean, maybe take them on Twitter with you to show them how crazy it is, but
Well, Twitter needs to have like a safe mode and a not safe mode, and that solves a lot of the problems. That is what Minds does, right?
yeah.
So, yeah, you can have a safe mode, which is kind of like, there's some news stuff on it that's probably not appropriate for kids, but it's not really that crazy. And then there's the not safe for work stuff, which is war, combat, serious crimes.
Politics, in my opinion.
A lot of politics. I don't know, though. I think kids are allowed to listen to politics to a certain to a certain degree. I think most politics probably fine. Most politics used to be like this tax policy or things like that.
I used to say religion wasn't safe for work, any kind of religious stuff, and then I'd get like Christmas posts, and I'd be like, all right, by my own rules, this is not safe for work. And it'd be like holly jolly jingle, and I'm like, not safe for work. It's too religious. It's Christian.
Dare you?
I stuck to my morals, and I kept all not safe for work. It's religious, not safe for work. Not everyone's Christian.
But it is safe for work.
But it's not something I want to appear on someone's computer in work environments because I don't want to create divisiveness.
But why would
That's
they?
the purpose of it. Like
See,
any kind of religion, any kind
This
of
is
politics.
their worldview, bro.
Yeah.
Our worldview is kind of like, oh, hey, a post about, Judaism. Whatever. I'll read it. I'm interested in seeing what they have to say. I'm not Jewish. Oh, hey, look, Kwanzaa. What's that all about? I'll read about that. What do you think? Mormonism. South Park did a great episode on Mormonism where they're kind of like ragging on the Mormon faith, and at the end of the episode, the Mormon family is just like, you know what? We've been really nice to you. You guys are just dicks. Like, the Mormon family was really nice and wholesome. They didn't hurt anybody, but they believed things that the other kids thought were stupid. That's how I see it. You post something on social media and I think it's dumb. Whatever, man. If I disagree with you, I disagree with you. That's the conversation. If it's like someone saying, if I see like a post about and it's in the context of, hey, look at this young man who was killed by police in this story. It's really sad. I'm not going to be like, screw you, morons. I'm going to be like, oh.
Yeah, we shouldn't be trying to accuse deranged children who never grew up. Like these individuals, put them in a safe space. Put play foam in there, pad the walls up, and make it a virtual safe space where people could go and they will prioritize feelings over facts, and then have a real place where adults could go that could have serious conversations and could handle the realities of this world and not need to be safeguarded from the truth. So this is what Elon Musk has been talking about doing. He also has been talking about sharing advertisement revenue and revenue from Twitter, giving it to some of the content creators. He's planning to officially lay off 25% of the company. So this is going to be a very big transition that we're going to be seeing here. And I think he's going to, at the end of the day, offer people the opportunity. Hey, have your little safe space, be able just to see Disney cartoons and commercials for Big Pharma being regurgitated to. You could have that space.
He could make,
and then you could have a real world space.
They could make Twitter invite-only nodes. He could say that someone like, Sarah Bareilles can choose elect to create a node, which will give anyone who follows her an invite to join the node, and the node is only her followers. No one can see anything inside of it or share anything outside of it unless they're invited to the node. How about that?
Have you seen the tribal social?
Yeah.
Like, why aren't they all flocking on over there? And
Well,
just
a lot of them
making,
are,
But
but here's the issue. The Daily Beast wrote that Tribal Social is full of hate speech. They're going after Tribal the same as they go after Parler. Why? Because Face CIA Book and Twitter, actively collude with government, and the real advantage to decentralized networks is the manipulation of public opinion. Getting everybody to go to Tribal Social is just as bad as if it's Parler. You lose control of the narrative. There you go.
That makes sense.
Let's jump to this next story. Let's talk about censorship. Chris Pavlovsky tweeted, "The French government has demanded that Rumble block Russian news sources. Like Elon Musk, I won't move our goalposts for any foreign government. Rumble will turn off France entirely. France isn't material to us, and we will challenge the legality of this demand." Chris, why even turn off Rumble in France? Just ignore them. What can they do? You're not in France. If people in France type in rumble.com, that's on the people of France. Let the government of France block the website like the Chinese Communist Party would, and then we'll talk about it. How about that?
Yeah, that sounds like a great idea. It sounds like an awesome idea. I mean, governments trying to control information right now during war is something that they have always done historically. But I think it's fair to say that we're reaching a level where information warfare is being galvanized and used against the best interest of the general public. And if France is going to be going after Russian news sources, they should be going after all the other news sources that are also leading to damage, leading to harm if they truly were trying to do this equally, but they're not. So shouts out to Rumble for standing their ground, for allowing free speech to thrive, and at the end of the day, people should be able to hear both sides of the story and make up their opinions. But the thing is, when you're pushing an agenda, when you're fighting a war, when you want to kill somebody, you can't allow that in some instances, and that's the bigger battle that I think is being described here.
I think it's amazing. Elon Musk tweeted in March that Starlink had been told by some governments to block Russian news sources. In the United States, there's an effort to try and shut down a lot of these Russian news sources. They ban people like crazy. Lee Camp, he worked for RT. He had his own independent podcast unrelated to RT. They banned that too.
Yeah, Redacted Tonight?
It wasn't Redacted Tonight. That guy, they shut down all of the shows. But he had a separate podcast that was like his own creation, and they banned that.
We should have him on the show sometime.
Well, I've reached out to him. I don't know. I've hit him up several times.
Cool guy.
But yeah, they shut him down. They shut him down, and a bunch of other people who worked for RT started getting banned like crazy. It's Chinese Communist Party level psychotic behavior.
I always liked RT during the War on Terror, 2008, 9, 10, and be like, what in the hell actually is going on? If Saddam didn't have weapons of mass destruction, like, why are we there? RT was nice because it was an outside perspective. And Al Jazeera, because it was like, they would talk about American troop movements and stuff that, like, NBC didn't talk. NBC's like, we got him, Osama bin Laden. Remember that guy you thought we killed before? We didn't, but we got him now. And you're like, oh, okay. And then, so it's good to get outside perspectives. But like you said,
they don't want you to have it, dude.
Yeah, in a time of war.
I mean, that was war. And
well, we were told
the issue is
the war on terror.
The United States is quickly becoming authoritarian over the past 6 or so years. The left is screaming Donald Trump, but he's barely done anything. It's like he wouldn't even call in the troops to shut down the mass rioting around the country. But what they've been doing with like CISA, working with Twitter and Facebook to censor information and shut down speech, and actively they've been banning news outlets. I mean, how do you justify legally, constitutionally, the shutting down of a news outlet in the U.S.? RT. They did. I think RT chose to shut down, right? Operations because they were getting banned or something like that.
Is that Russia Today?
Yeah, it's been a minute since the story broke, but I don't. Look, man, the United States is becoming very much a despotic regime like the Communist Chinese Party.
Dude, they created the War on Terror. It's the most generic title. Imagine if they created the War on Evil. You think that they'll ever do that? That we're going to get to a point where they'll be like, and enough people will be like zealous and they'll be like, yeah, evil's bad. We got to fight it.
The war
Send
on
your
fascism.
Kids. The war on fascism.
No. The war on carbon.
The war on chaos. You know, they're going to be like the war on evil. Dude,
war
could
on
you imagine?
Carbon. And they're going to be like, are you carbon? I don't know. I think he's carbon. Get him.
It's just so like, it's so subjective what's terrorism.
If people were going to fight for the war on evil, we would have seen him step up sooner the last 3 years.
The war on evil. They're preparing people for some dumb.
Yeah.
It's just so generic.
Yeah.
Like it's just a reason to rally people into fighting, to accepting curtailing rights, empowering military complex to build bigger bombs, more explosive and deadly weapons. And they just call it. I mean, it wasn't even a war. It wasn't a war. It was an extra military.
It's still going
action.
on, isn't it?
I think that it's winding down. Yeah, I don't know. But they can use terrorism. Ever since the Patriot Act, the NDAA was signed, they can use like terror as like they're talking about this David Patton guy. They're gonna charges or something they want to. I don't like it, man. They could. What if they charged you with evil? Like, could you imagine a reality?
You're going to jail.
Evil.
What'd I do?
You committed evil.
Soon, it's coming.
Who decides if it's terror? Who decides if it's evil? Whoever has the guns.
Well, yeah. When Antifa goes around for political reasons terrorizing people, they never charge them with terrorism.
And they should have.
Yeah,
if they want to play judiciously, then they should have been terrorism too. But in that argument, they might have to start charging themselves with terrorism when they drop bombs on schools.
But domestically, Antifa putting on masks. There's a video out of, I think it's Portland or Seattle. They're marching through neighborhoods. They see a house with an American flag, so they stop, they go to his house, knock on the door, and start threatening the guy. Like, this is terrorism. Okay, these people should be charged because they're marching around in gangs with weapons and threatening people. If you want to march around in a mask with a gun, I don't care at all. You want to march around with a mask and a gun and then walk up to a house where a guy's got an American flag and threaten him, you cross the line. You want to walk down the street by yourself with a pink pullover, collared shirt and khakis, and then knock on the door with someone with an American flag and threaten them, you've crossed the line. Allowing people who are armed to point guns at people in the street like they were doing and getting away with it without charging them for anything, that's how you know it can only get worse from here, I suppose.
Well, they were doing it mostly peacefully, though.
Fiery, but peaceful.
Fiery.
And isn't that remarkable? Who buys this? Did you see a clip from The View that went viral where they're like, these Republicans are the ones celebrating violence? It's like, are you nuts? Who's like, you get like Glenn Beck, Ben Shapiro, Steven Crowder, Tucker Carlson. Literally, when have any of the key prominent right-wing individuals ever advocated or supported violence? They've not. Even when it came to George Floyd, Ben Shapiro's coming out being like, this is horrible, I can't believe this happened. Yet when it comes to the Antifa riots, Kamala Harris literally fundraises for them. The Biden administration donates to bail these people out. They advocate to get these people out of jail, and they defend them and say, but they're peaceful protesters. Fire them. You had those two people who firebombed a cop car in New York. And they get like 18 months or some ridiculously low number. And then you get people who trespass the Capitol and they get 4 to 7 years. Amazing. There you go.
You got to be careful with
Busted
like
up system.
charging people that, because like terror, if like you're scared because of something I did, it doesn't mean that I'm terrorizing you. Just because I'm behaving a certain way doesn't mean that I'm terrorizing. Just because you're feeling terror, like you might have too much coffee and now you're freaking out because your adrenals are overloaded and screaming like, he's doing this to me. Like, so you want to protect people's rights. Like you said, you can carry a weapon down the street and you're okay to do that, as long as you're not aggressively going after somebody.
Well, it depends where you're at. In New York City, you can't even have a pocket knife. So they'll come in and arrest you. That's the number one arrest that they have in
Pocket knives?
Yeah. That's the number. I heard that the number one arrest in New York City is people with pocket knives, and police officers just walk around trying to see who has it, and then they arrest people for doing that. So
Constitutionally, I should clarify.
Yeah. Again, what's happening here is people are trying to control the narrative. As I've been saying for a long time, and other people said it before me, the first casualty of war is the truth. And you want to, of course, have a landscape right now where you're not only just fighting in the real world in Ukraine with the larger proxy war, but there's a bigger war also that's an information war. And what the French government is trying to do here is one symptom of this larger war, of them trying to consolidate information, control that information so they could use it for their own personal benefit. France is also in a very weird position because we have the Rothschild banker French president warning about escalations in Ukraine, saying, hey, we really got to stop it here. We really have to de-escalate the situations here. And now the French government is just trying to ban any alternative version of the story, which of course is predominantly done for their war that they're trying to push, as of course France has been giving aid to Ukraine. So this kind of landscape is kind of confusing and perplexing to see, especially with the larger relations and the trade deals that just happened between Russia and France. So very complex point of view, but there are a lot of people that don't want you seeing an alternative version of the story, and whether you agree with it or not, you should be able to see it for you to judge it for yourself. And I think if we're able to do that, we're able to de-escalate a lot of the war efforts, a lot of the propaganda, a lot of the disinformation that has brought us to the situation where a lot of people are fearing a full, all-out nuclear war. This is a real reality that we're facing, mainly because of this one kind of mentality and denying free speech and just pushing a war message nonstop, which the corporate media does all the time. You look at all the messaging on the corporate media, it's always pro-war. There's no anti-war voices anymore on the corporate media. When there was, they got extinguished. Jesse Ventura had a huge contract with MSNBC. He wanted to speak out against the wars. They literally bought him off and said, you know what? We know we paid you a lot of money. Just shut up and sit down, don't say anything, and we're not going to publish your show.
Golden handcuffs, they call it.
Exactly. And they did this to Donahue. They did this to Jesse Ventura. They did this to Cenk Uygur of the Young Turks right now on MSNBC because they weren't toting the line and pushing the military-industrial complex propaganda. And I think the more that we could counteract the military-industrial complex, the propaganda, the disinformation, the less likely we are to have a full, all-out nuclear world war. A world war.
They will offer you a big contract, and it'll be for something legitimate, like you'll make, appearances on the show, we'll have you as a correspondent, etc. And then if you don't say what the machine wants you to say, it serves a great benefit to have you under contract where you can't go say things elsewhere. So now you're getting paid mid-six figures. Some of these people get millions of dollars. You go on the TV, you say the war is wrong, they stop booking you. You're under contract, you can't go anywhere else. You are effectively careerless in limbo, but well paid, and there's nothing you can do about it.
How many of those contracts do you think have rolled out over the last couple of years for just all of the information, COVID stuff and everything?
Oh, tons.
Because when
Tons.
you see the memos, like it seems like everybody gets the same memos, and then everybody sort of says the same thing online, and then there's a pattern to it,
Well, that I think, what we're learning with the DHS colluding with social media, they're colluding with traditional media. There's no way that they have takedown requests of Twitter and Facebook, and they don't have, contacts at major media outlets to talk with the heads about what stories are good or bad. Put it this way. You think that if they're doing that social media, they're not going to the New York Times being like, hey, that story's really bad. It's going to get people killed. They do that, I guarantee you, the New York Times, they probably go, we'll take it down. We won't publish. They probably get a phone call like, hey, we hear you're about to run a story about this. That's going to put us in jeopardy. We're asking you not to run it. They're like, okay, you got it. No worries. Some stories they probably say we'll run them anyway, but it's all one big club, man. And you ain't in it. Same club we used to beat you over the head with. George Carlin.
The France thing is interesting because they're threatening to shut down servers from Rumble. They've been funding Ukraine, you said, but now they're also taking research and development from Russia.
Yeah.
Russia's sending them I don't know if it's fissile material, but they're sending them fusion parts for their fusion reactor.
Mm-hmm.
Russia and France are working together right now on building a fusion reactor. I don't understand then why they would want to shut off Russia today. It's just very strange. There's
exactly.
It's like there's oligarchs and then there's government, and they're not working together, or they have different goals or something.
Let's talk about crazy old Biden. In this crazy old Biden story we got for you, Biden again says his son Beau died in Iraq while catching himself confusing the Iraq and Ukraine wars when discussing what caused worldwide inflation. So I don't know if they have the video here. Let's play. Yeah, I think we can play it.
No change in the quality of it, just changing the price. And they talk about inflation.
I've got
You know,
unexplained
we're dealing
readings.
with it. For
Stay
God's
alert.
sake, inflation is a worldwide problem right now. Because of the war in Iraq and the impact on oil, and with the war in Ukraine. And I think in Iraq, that's what I said that. Because
His son did not die in Iraq.
Died in a hospital in the United States, correct?
I believe that's. I believe.
Boston?
Yeah. Yeah, it was. He had cancer, I believe. It wasn't in Iraq. This is the second time Joe Biden said this.
It sounds like he's looking out a window at an old folks' home. This is state of my son.
But if he was, he'd be standing there and be like, it's just thinking about my son. He died in Iraq. And the nurse would be like, that's
Yeah,
right,
right.
Mr.
Yeah,
Biden.
exactly.
Come with me and we'll
Yeah,
get
yeah.
you to bed. Here's your medicine. He'll be like, oh, I like my medicine.
Yeah.
Right there.
He's
you
not
go.
wrong that the inflation is caused by the war in Iraq, though. The war in Iraq caused a lot of this mess.
That's right.
He accidentally says something that's partly true. I think the dude probably is he's beyond medication. Look, I was in Gettysburg, and one of the souvenir shops, they sold pill containers, really fancy ones, like the little metal heart-shaped, and you'd open it, and it was like you put your pills in it, and I'm like, wow. That's for older people who have to take certain medications. I think Joe Biden's beyond that. Like, he's on meds. They gotta have him on uppers, and he's still this bad.
Videos of THC consumed, which is the plaque that grows on the blood vessels in the brain.
So you're saying that Joe Biden's got to rock the ganja?
Smoke that doom, bruh. And psilocybin, I've heard, is also responsible for neurogenesis, the regrowth of brain cells. So there are alternative treatments that someone suffering from any kind of cognitive decline could look at. Natural,
But wouldn't-
plant-based stuff.
Like, wouldn't they, like these powerful
I've got unexplained
elites,
readings.
know these
Stay
things
alert.
and be taking these drugs or whatever?
I would hope so.
You'd think so.
I mean, like, we hear all these crazy stories about the blood of children or whatever. Like, we know there have been stories about how they use foreskin cream on their faces and how they do blood transfusions with young people. Some billionaires even hire young people to work out in the
boys.
gym. Blood
Yeah.
boys, is that what they're called?
Yeah, I mean, basically, Blood boys.
It's true story. Like New York Times or whatever was reporting it. Rich people will hire like 19-year-old, gym bros to do bi-weekly blood transfusions because it rejuvenates you. If that's true, come on, Biden's got to be on some crazy-ass experimental treatment to like fix his brain.
He's probably doing that, plus a lot more, but it's probably still not helping because of how old he is. I mean, didn't he have, correct me if I'm wrong, 3 brain aneurysms?
Just two.
I don't know, but that's a serious deal, and this was decades and decades ago. Just a couple days ago, he said that there were 54 states. 7 days ago, he called Kamala Harris the president of the United States for the 5th time. Again, this is not going
It's
to
every
stop.
day. But
It's every single
your
day.
body can only do so much. So
Yeah.
even if they're juicing them up, like at some point, they're going to have to cut back. I
Yeah.
mean, there was a video the other, like a month or two ago, where 2 videos in the same day, and one is he's very calm, very is the video. Then the second video the same day is the one where he wasn't blinking, and he's like staring at the camera and he's sort of yelling, and it seems like 2 different guys, right?
Yeah.
It's like they maxed him out on the meds, and now they've sort of pulled back, because if they keep going with it every single day, where they have to keep him juiced up to get out there, he's the president, he's got appointments, he's got to be on TV. They're going to run him dry. He's going to drop right then and there, which he also said the other day too, by the way.
Yeah.
I could drop dead at any minute.
He said that?
Yeah, he said that.
There's only so much Adderall and adrenochrome a man could take. I mean, for goodness sake. I'm just being facetious here, obviously. But at the end of the day,
Come on. Like, I have to believe that there's ridiculously expensive experimental treatments that have shown to like de-age that they have to have access to.
Oh,
right?
the guy
said
has
that
metal brain stents in his head.
I said earlier that the THC was dissolving the amyloid plaque in the blood vessels, actually in the neurons in the brain that they found that. So, yeah, I just wanted to clarify that it's not the blood vessels, it's the neurons where the plaque grows that causes Alzheimer's.
Do you guys think, so it was, it's probably 11 years ago, I went to a speech by Aubrey de Grey of the Senescence Foundation, and he was saying that, this was 12 years ago, he's like, someone who's younger than 45 today will live to 1,000. And he said it's not because we're going to invent a pill that makes you live to 1,000. It's that as you're getting older, medical technology is advancing faster than you're aging. So you're 50, they invent a cure for macular degeneration. You never experience, vision loss. Then you're 60, you're having heart troubles, but then they've developed a treatment for that heart ailment, so now your heart's fine. Now you're 80. He was basically saying they're going to keep finding ways. Basically, you're aging, but science is advancing so fast, they're curing everything, and then eventually you live to be 1,000.
Rogan's a cool example. If you watch his show a lot, you see him get younger over the years.
What, really?
Yeah, probably 5 years ago, he was looking pretty rugged, or 4 years ago. It was probably just a rough week, couple weeks, eating a lot of maybe some junk or something. And then sometimes you'll see it, and